You already know that LA's housing market could be brutal unless you have intel on where the next hot neighborhood's gonna be. And the cool thing about Westchester is that it sits between Silicon Beach and LAX, so it's kind of a sleeper, and it got a $14 billion infrastructure upgrade that a lot of people haven't quite noticed yet. And people still kind of think of Westchester as airport overflow. And the truth is, a lot of people from tech are moving in there because of how it's conveniently located. And the wild part is, homes are still selling for around 30% less than the rest of the Westside, even though Westchester has better job growth and transit. I think this might be the best LA investment that you haven't thought about until now. Let's get into it. If you guys don't know me already, I have to introduce myself. My name is Isayas Theodros. I'm a former Big Four accountant and CPA. I've also worked in TV and film, and now I'm a real estate advisor right here in the Los Angeles area. And for the past several years, I've helped so many different types of families navigate this very competitive Southern California market. And today we're gonna look at a neighborhood that has been flying under the radar, and it's really building one of the strongest value plays on the West Side. And I wanna talk to you guys about why I think Westchester is special and why it's an interesting play. And look, I'm just here to give you guys my honest take so you can make the best decision for yourself and your situation when your time is right. And if we work together, of course, we're gonna have a good time too. So let's talk about it. Location, 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 location. That is Westchester's secret weapon. And when you see what other Westside neighborhoods charge for the same kind of access, it really is kind of wild. So first, let me show you where it is on the map, because from where we are, it might surprise you that Westchester sits in one of the best spots on the West Side, right next to LAX, Playa Vista, which is the heart of Silicon Beach, and Culver City, which is one of my favorite cities in LA. What makes this spot such a win is just how close it is to everything. You're like 10 minutes away or so from Manhattan Beach, about 15, 20 from Santa Monica. If you travel for work, you got the 405, the 105, the 90, LAX. You're basically surrounded by some of LA's priciest markets without having to pay those prices. And I think this is part of the reason why a lot of major companies are betting big on Westchester's future. Westchester, it covers about 11 square miles. So there's room for different areas have their kind of own vibe, but it still feels like a very close-knit community. Remember, it is a neighborhood, but most people only think about the part near the airport. A lot of people have thought about it as just airport overflow for the longest time, like we talked about. But you still get a lot of the perks of being near the coast, and you're close to all the action without necessarily getting all of the noise that you would expect. You really see the value that you are getting here when you look at the commute times, because whether you're going to Playa Vista's tech offices, Culver City Studios, you want to go to Manhattan Beach, Santa Monica, Westchester just puts you in the middle of it all. And what makes Westchester different is it's suburban, it's quiet, it's spacious, it's calm, and it's all of this while still being at the heart of everything that you want to get close to, what you want to be close to. So again, look, we do this every week, okay? We're breaking down LA, we're breaking down Long Beach, showing you numbers, sharing tips that you won't hear anywhere else. And look, you're here early. So join us here if you want a regular inside scoop on SoCal real estate, because you don't want to miss what's next. Let's keep going on this, because location is just the start. Wait until you see what's happening with the infrastructure, and that is where things get very exciting. And really, it's already changing the way that home values are being priced, and a lot of people haven't quite noticed it yet. So what you're about to see right now is why easy transportation just might be Westchester's biggest game changer, and why it's creating something that you will not find anywhere else on the West Side. Now, this is gonna sound wild to you because it's kind of been under your nose the entire time, but Westchester is right in the middle of one of the biggest infrastructure projects in LA history. And it's a $14 billion upgrade. That's billion with a B. That's changing the way that people move throughout the area. Now, if you're hearing the context clues, you might have guessed it, because this project has been going on for quite some time, and it's the LAX Landside Access Modernization Program, and it's about 80% done. The goal is to finish up before the Olympics come here, and the goal is to remove up to 42 million vehicle miles from the traffic once it's done, which is gonna be super important, because for anyone that knows, LAX can be a big bummer to get to depending on the time of day you come. And this also is great because it's going to inevitably impact home prices, because these kinds of upgrades tend to have a serious impact on the surrounding neighborhoods. And we're not done with upgrades yet either, because the new S Metro Transit Center opened up in June 2025. It connects the C and the K Metro lines right to the airport. The People Mover is also coming in the start of 2026. So it's gonna really allow people to take public transit all the way to the terminal. So this is like nothing that we've ever seen before in LA. This is gonna give Westchester the public transit access that no other West LA neighborhood or other neighborhood has seen. The K line in Westchester at the Veteran Station is also a big deal because it's the first rail stop in this neighborhood's history. And since X Transit Center opened, the K line ridership has jumped tremendously. And again, these are the intangibles that really have a kind of unseen consequence or impact on the home values. That kind of access, that kind of convenience is going to make a big difference. And there's more coming. The Sepulveda Transit Corridor is a proposed heady rail project worth up to $10 billion. And it's going to potentially have a stop at the Westchester Parkway. And I think what's most incredible about this is that it's going to take the first big step in having real connectivity throughout all of LA County, because it's going to help connect the valley down to the west side. And yeah, okay, the time saving is going to be great for the people who ride it, but that's really not the biggest picture too, because what's happening right now is a full-blown transit hub that connects you to the whole region. LA has been talking about this for the longest time, but I think this is what's happening right now. It's happening in real time, and it's hard to visualize because this kind of connectivity, again, because we've talked about it for so long, the fact that it's actually coming into fruition, it's hard to really think about the impact that's actually having not only on the transit times, but the communities around it, the convenience and the value that's created as a result of it. And again, this is also why something bigger is even happening. Major employers are taking note, and they're moving in and building one of the strongest job markets in the LA area right here in Westchester. Now, I'm going to show you something that most buyers don't even think about. Westchester has one of the strongest and most stable economies on the west side. And most people don't really know this, but Westchester is actually one of the biggest job centers in LA. And that is because it brings a kind of stability that you just don't get in most neighborhoods. Now, LAX alone has around 3,000 city workers and 50,000 private workers across all terminals. That's a ton of steady jobs, and they're not going anywhere. And you also want to keep this in mind when you look at home values, because this kind of job base helps uphold the local market, even when other areas take a hit. Now, another big player as it relates to the employment that comes in this area is LMU, Loyola Marymount University, also another big player. It brings in over 1,700 staff, 9,000 students. It's on a 142-acre campus, and this creates steady demand for housing, for local shops, for services all year long, and it just adds to the color that comes in the community. Another institution that not many people know about is Otis College. It adds another about 400 staff. It's about 1,200 students. So between both schools, you've got more than a total of 10,400 students or so, and over 2,100 people working right here in the neighborhood. And what really makes Westchester stand out is really how mixed the job market is. You've got government jobs at LAX, right? You also have teachers between the colleges and the students at the schools. You got creative work in aerospace right around the corner. You got service jobs that support all of it. That kind of mix also helps create a very stable, diverse local economy and helps it stay strong, even when things slow down in other places. And the average household in Westchester earns, I'd say, around 30% more than the rest of LA County on average. So people here tend to have more buying power. And, people who are coming here are people who are looking to find something that has more space and has a steady housing market. Okay, so let's take a look at what your money can actually buy you here and really why Westchester stands out as one of the next neighborhoods that you really should consider. So let me show you the real numbers behind why smart buyers are really starting to focus on Westchester and why prices here really are a rare opportunity in today's West LA market. Now, here's where things really start to get interesting, especially if you compare it to other parts of West LA. The median price in Westchester as of July 2025 is about $1.6 million. That's a 6% increase from this time last year, even with 30-year mortgage rates averaging around 7% over the last 10 months or so. Now, keep in mind that the median time on market has been well below 30 days, hovering around 25 or so. That's better than last year. And it shows you that buyer demand has been remaining strong especially when the homes are priced right. Now, Westchester has been heating up, and keep in mind when we get to the development pipeline in a minute, because investments coming in could reshape entire sections of the neighborhood. But the current price per square foot is about $936 per square foot. That's about 11% more than LA County's average, but still much cheaper than Venice, Santa Monica, Mar Vista, and so on. So you're getting West LA location without full West LA prices, which I think is a sweet spot. Now, home styles here include mid-century homes, upgraded bungalows, farmhouses, ranch-style houses, new construction. What really stands out, though, of all these things is the lot size. You're getting way more space, way more lot size in this neighborhood. And over 70% of these homes are selling under 30 days. A lot of them get multiple offers, again, depending on how you price it. Now, this tells you a couple things. Buyers are competing, and homes are being priced in a way where it's drawing in the right people, and it is a competitive market. So again, homes are selling typically above asking price, and the sale to list ratio is staying strong, and sellers are getting what they want. And, you know, again, depending on the house, it's going to vary, but it tells you kind of what this market looks like and why people want to be here. But the price point's not even the biggest part of the story. Wait until you see what's coming down the development pipeline, because that's what's pulling the smart money into Westchester right now. And this is why the neighborhood could look completely different in a few years from this time right now. So here's why the big investors are putting their money into Westchester, and why they've been doing it for some time now and will continue to do so as long as they can. And you can really already see this happening right now if you were just to drive through the neighborhood. Homes are being purchased, they're being torn down, and they're essentially being rebuilt from the studs. And these same homes, assuming they're not being kept for personal use, they're really selling between $2 to $6 million, depending on size and exact location. So what I'm about to walk you through is why smart buyers have been getting in and will continue to do so. So the development pipeline here brings together a couple of things: job growth, new infrastructure, and limited housing supply all at once. So LAX is one component of this. And the expansions happening at LAX are going to continue to happen through 2028. And what this is going to do is going to create a bunch of new jobs. And these aren't just entry-level jobs, they're skilled positions in logistics, in tech, admin, and this is just the tip of the iceberg on that front. We talked about this earlier, the K line. It's shown just an immense amount of ridership, a huge jump in ridership. And this is important too, because historically, when you see that kind of adaptation or adoption rather, this typically tends to translate into property value growth in the surrounding areas. And when the development follows the transit, values will continue to climb. And there are also several other big projects that are happening that are gonna move forward. There's one 140 unit mixed project happening on South Sepulveda Boulevard. It got the green light early in 2025. That one should be ready by 2027. LMU is also building a engineering innovation complex, which was announced last year in 2024. So these kinds of initiatives really are playing a part in just kind of showing that Westchester has a very holistic element of growth. And, you know, this is going to be great for the neighborhood. All of this is happening while inventory remains limited. And that's why sellers have really had the upper hand, and why prices here are expected to keep rising really faster than the rest of LA through 2026. But it's really not just the numbers that make Westchester stand out. Beyond the job growth, beyond the transit upgrades, beyond the development pipeline even, the neighborhood has character, and it really does have a sense of community that you can actually really feel once you're here. And let me show you that, okay? Let me show you what it's like to be here on the day-to-day and what living life in Westchester would really look like. All right, so beyond the strategic location that we've done a good job of talking about, and the strong job market and the development pipeline, one thing that we have to touch on is how Westchester also has these local traditions, these few gems that really bring its community to life. And one of those traditions that's really worth talking about is one that's beloved to the community, which is called the Westchester Arts and Music Block Party. And essentially, this is a free day-long celebration that takes over the streets, everything that you'd expect from a block party. There's dance performances, there's art, there's food trucks, kid activities. They even have a beer and wine garden. I think the coolest part about it is that the proceeds go to a local nonprofit. So while you're enjoying the music and the community, you are investing back in the community. Another favorite for folks in the community is something called Second Saturday Stroll. And on select summer evenings, you kind of have what's like a mini block party, totally separate from one that we just talked about, but it happens specifically in the Westchester Triangle area. And again, it's music, it's local bites. And I think the cool part about this one is that they do a really good job of highlighting some of the local businesses in that Westchester Triangle area. And if you're around on a Sunday morning, the Westchester Farmers Market is also a really integral part of the community. Something that brings the neighbors together, highlights the food vendors and the artisans. Also very kid-friendly, as you would imagine, and live entertainment. And it's like a nice kind of weekend ritual that keeps the heart and the vibrancy of the neighborhood. Westchester's community and lifestyle is one of balance. So it's safe, it's very family friendly, it's very convenient from both beach and city life. So, while it's not the most walkable and doesn't have, all of the options that you would want from restaurants or nightlife or whatever have you, I think the fact that it's next to enough of that is kind of what makes it great. It's like you don't necessarily want to be in the mix, but you're close enough to get to the mix within a couple minutes if you so chose. And I think a lot of residents like that trade-off for the location and the value. Not to mention the lot sizes, which is also another big perk here. So for families, Westchester hits all the marks. And not to mention, it does fall, because it is a neighborhood, it's not its own city, it does fall into LAUSD, but Westchester does have a few charter schools as well. So it gives parents a couple options when it comes to education as well. Look, now you know, okay? Now you know that Westchester isn't just another LA neighborhood, in that it's really a sweet spot for a lot of families. It's not just the ugly stepsister of LAX like a lot of people have thought. People really seeing the value of it now. And that's, because of the infrastructure upgrades, it's because location, it's because of the transit, it's because of the size of the lots. There's so many things that we've talked about that all will continue to play a part in really increasing the value over time. And, it's still, like we said, kind of undervalued. It's still 30% or so, trading 30% or so lower than other prominent Westside pockets. So if this is something that interests you, send us an email at tedrosteam@gmail.com and put Westchester in the subject line, and I will personally send you a market breakdown, including some blocks that are seeing some of the strongest gains. Don't wait till you're priced out, because there are deals happening. And if this is something that you want to be aware of, I got you. Don't say nobody warned you. But this is something that was, something that popped out at me, especially when I was driving through, just to see all the, development happening all around. So, if you haven't figured out, if you're new to the area and you haven't figured out where in LA County makes sense for you, then you should watch this video where we break down Long Beach versus LA, and it'll kind of walk you through where the nice beachy vibe for you is versus the city vibe, and where there are opportunities in the market, in neighborhoods. And it's all those things that you should consider. But more than that, subscribe to this channel. If you're watching this, because I know some of you are watching this without subscribing, make sure to subscribe. It definitely helps us, and it's a way for us to know that we are doing a good job of connecting with folks who care about this kind of content. But also, it's a way for you to stay connected to what we're doing every single week, because we produce videos every single week. And we're committed to diving deeper with you guys in all things Long Beach and all things LA, all things real estate in these surrounding pockets. And it's not just the real estate. We're also really interested in you, because our goal is to ultimately serve as many people as possible as we help you believe for more. Peace.